Suíça é um país com tanta inovação e tanta tradição em inovar que nós precisávamos conhecer um pouco mais como eles se organizam em relação às suas startups e como eles mantêm viva a memória de seus grandes inovadores. Não é uma memória que é mantida tão celebrada só porque existiu. É uma memória que é admirada, experimentada e revitalizada todo o tempo, justamente para inspirar ainda mais inovações. Vamos em frente com a nossa Rota da Inovação, conhecendo um pouco mais desse país, porque a Suíça não para de avançar em suas inovações e não deixa de celebrar seus maiores inovadores. Eu estava falando sobre estudantes estrangeiros aqui na Suíça. E olha só, agora nós vamos visitar a casa de um estudante estrangeiro que foi desacreditado pelo mundo todo, mas deu a volta por cima e tornou-se uma celebridade em inovação e ciência, que é ele, Albert Einstein. Para se entender Deus ou o universo, só existe um meio: inovar. Estou aqui com Hans Rudolf para conversar um pouquinho sobre a vida de Einstein, sobre a sociedade. You are the president of Albert Einstein Society, right?
That's correct.
For how long?
Well, it's about 6 years now.
6 years.
Yes.
And what does this society do?
Well, the society commemorates Einstein's life in Bern and his work in Bern, which includes the Annus Mirabilis 1905, where he did a number of very famous papers which really changed the world of physics. While he was still working 48 hours a week at the patent office, so that he could do that, those things, working for bread and butter and working at night for science, is really a wonder. And so it's hard to understand how he did it, but he did it. So we are trying to commemorate his activities here because we are now on exactly the place where he lived when he did that. And you can actually see that on this picture, which was taken exactly here.
Exactly here?
Exactly here. You see the light from the window. That's his first wife, the first son, who was standing here. So that's a proof that it was happening here. So that's the, let's say, importance of this house, that these papers were written here, especially special theory of relativity.
Cara, Einstein, dá para imaginar, Einstein estava aqui, nesse exato lugar, com a família dele, com o filho e com a primeira esposa dele. É muito emocionante estar aqui na casa e no lugar que ele esteve há alguns anos atrás. Muito, muito legal. For how long he lived here in this house?
In this house he lived for almost 3 years.
3 years.
But
which year?
It was from 1903 to 1905. But the important thing is that when he did these famous papers, that's when
he was here. That's the important thing. Why Einstein had become a Switzerland citizen?
Yes, actually he went to school in Germany, of course, first, but he didn't like to go to school for various reasons, which we had no time to go into. But then he left Germany and traveled to his parents, which had changed from Munich to Milano in Italy. And he had no final exam of the high school, so the future was open and was not clear what he should do. And then he knew, or somebody knew, that there was a school in Zurich, the Polytechnic School in Zurich, which allowed to get students which had no final exam of the Inovação, but had to pass an entrance exam. And when he took that exam, he failed because he was extremely doing well in physics and mathematics, but not in languages, history, geography, things like that. And then the director of the school, who recognized that he was a clever person because he was very good in mathematics and physics, recommended to him to finish his high school education in Switzerland, at the school in a small city in the center of Switzerland. And apparently he liked the spirit of that school very much, and the whole lifestyle much better than he did in Germany, because it was more democratic, it was more open, and so he often said that that's the way he liked to live. And upon coming to Switzerland for this education, he gave up the German citizenship. So he was stateless for 4 years. And then towards the end of his studies in Zurich, he applied for Swiss citizenship, and he got it within a reasonable amount of time. And he kept the Swiss passport until he died. So he was Swiss citizen from 1901 until he died in 1954. So it's just, he seemed to have liked it, the spirit of life.
And in your opinion, what contribution had Einstein left here to the modern science?
Well, a lot. I mean, of course, these 5 papers in the 1905 in this Annus Mirabilis changed the world of physics, as I said, and all the things he did there are still indirectly valid today. And I mean, he was well advanced of his time. Usually, the light quantum hypothesis, and that light also can be viewed as light quanta, is of course behind the photonic technology, and so he also, a bit later, one has to admit, put the basis for lasers, for intense light beams, and above all, of course, what he did, his first idea on the general theory of relativity, actually he had here in Bern also. So that was already coming up. He knew about the physics, but he couldn't do the mathematics, and so he had to learn that first. And,
so he learned math first?
Yes, because that was very complicated. Mathematics,
even for him?
Oh yeah, he simply couldn't do it. And he got again help from his friend Marcel Grossmann, who was his study colleague, and he could tell him a bit how what he should learn. And then this general theory of relativity, of course, is a rather complicated thing, and not many people really understand it. But one has to say, let's say nowadays everybody has a GPS on his handy or in the car, and if one could not do corrections based on the general theory of relativity, these things wouldn't work. So, it's a very abstract kind of thing, but if it's not used in this technology, then this whole thing will not, the GPS will not work. So that's another thing one should keep in mind, many people said to know.
What's your opinion about Einstein, and what's the relationship between Einstein and innovation? What's the behavior you think is a pattern of this?
Well, as I said, he was usually way ahead of the real innovation. He recognized things which then were realized only much later. Like, for instance, this first basic work on which then later became the realization of lasers 40 years later than he did it.
40?
40 years. Then the equivalence of energy and matter, which was then proven only 25 or 30 years later. So in a way he was always much ahead of his time, and the innovation was then done much later on. But the seed of the innovation was later.
It was so nice to talk to you, and nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to me to be here. I mean, I'm gonna grab some energy from here, and maybe I will be. I want to be a little bit more intelligent, so I'm here just to grab it in. Yeah.
Very, huh?
Okay, this is the exercise. Get some energy and feel like Einstein. Just feel. Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.